So we're on the bus to Cholula. It's a day trip. It was, how much did you pay for it?
7 peso.
One way, right? So round trip would be 15. So it's 75 cents round trip to go to Cholula from.
And then they will bring you that direct to the stop. The destination is
The Great Pyramid, yeah. And then we're going to take you on an Old Town walking tour that includes the 6 places we think are most interesting. And so if you want to know where to catch this bus, just click the link below this YouTube video. You'll find the link there, the Google Maps link, and you'll find our Google Maps walking tour of Cholula. Any thoughts?
Yes, and this is my Instagram.
I don't see it. Where is it? Is it on there?
Please put my Instagram.
Oh, okay. All right, beautiful. Have a nice ride. Trying to probably find a little restaurant right after we get off the bus. Here we are. Hold on. You ready for breakfast?
No,
Why not?
I'm really angry all the time.
All the time? Really? All the time?
Really all the time.
24 hours a day?
Every second.
What do I do? What do I do that makes you so angry?
Don't waste the battery.
Baby, you're never a waste of a battery.
You know what?
Yummy! Chonghui had like a scrambled egg looking thing.
Yeah, it's not very cheap. It's a decent price.
$1.50?
Yeah, and it's very nice.
Very nice. It came with tortillas and salsa, scrambled eggs with like onion, tomato, habanero maybe. And I had traditional huevos rancheros. And it's gone, baby. Another $1.50. We're down. It was $3.20 for our breakfast. Decent.
It's decent price.
Decent price. All right, now we're headed to the Old Town area. See that steeple right there? There it is. That's the main plaza in Cholula. We're headed that way. So we're in the middle of the main plaza, and Chonghui loves tourist information.
Here information about the places and the map here. This one is the park.
Okay.
This is a pyramid.
Oh, there's a pyramid. Also, I can just walk to the pyramid?
Yes, only 2 blocks in this direction.
Oh. And then, let me see.
Well, to visit the pyramid, visit first the museum, then the tunnel across the pyramid, and then the outside of pyramid, this part.
Oh, okay.
This church, the church is this, in the sky blue, and the names. Okay. About the pyramid, the cost is 70 pesos. This church is on the top of the pyramid. Wow. To visit the church is free.
Plaza de la Concordia. This is the main plaza of Cholula. The west side has the city hall, which was built over a former indigenous temple where the nobles used to meet. And the 46 arches you see over here is the longest arcadia in Latin America. And we'll also see the several beautiful churches on this square. And the city hall's over there somewhere on the west side. We'll have to hunt it down. It's the one with the built over the temple. We're still in La Concordia, enjoying the main square. I don't know if you can see it or not, but later today we'll be heading up a hill there that has a church on top. That has the largest pyramid in the world built under it at 177 feet high. Chonghui's getting some shots for her Instagram of this long arcadia. It's 46, by the way, not 48 arches. Looks like we found City Hall. It's under the arches on the west side. Got a mural on the left here. I'll have to look at that in a second. Oh, on the right too. Oh, that's the Aztec god up there. On the top, obviously. Or maybe not. Looks a little bit like it, but not exactly. Maybe it's some more local tribe, Chololan. Oh, here you have the Spanish arriving with fire and fury. I guess they were angry. They killed 6,000 people on the day of their arrival. And there's the pyramid in the background before they built a church on top of it. They were a naughty bunch, the Spanish. And now they're etched in history for their crimes. The entire New World talks about them. No matter where you go, you hear about who they murdered and raped, burned to death. So everybody's checking out the map. She likes to do things on the ground when we get here, and I like to read in advance and pick where we're going to go and read about it so I can tell you about it. We both have our own way of discovering a place, which is nice. It gives us some diversity in our what ends up happening. She'll find things that I wouldn't have picked. So under the arcade, there's all sorts of restaurants and stores, coffee shops. It's like a nice little hotel here right on the arcade. MS Hotel right on the corner. In case you're looking for a fancy schmancy place to call home when you're in Cholula. And now we're going to turn right at the end of the arcade and we're going to walk down to the churches and convent. Explore that. One of the churches here on the main plazas has a large steel blocks around, or steel. One of the churches, not the ones we're going to see today, but has is blocked from people entering, and it looks like it's a victim of the earthquake. You can see a couple of parts have fallen off the steeple here. Next to that church is the former City Museum, which is the residence of the wealthy colonial era family that was turned into a museum, but it was closed from the earthquake, and it's supposed to open in about 2 weeks. We'll see. In one corner of the main plaza, you'll see these kiosks that are selling tourist stuff, and behind it you'll see the San Gabriel complex, which is a convent and 3 churches. That's where we're headed. And here's the entrance. Big beautiful gate. Capilla de la Tercera Orden and Convento de San Gabriel Archangel. On the east side of the main plaza is San Gabriel, Capilla Real, also known as Royal Chapel, and also Indian chapel built in Mudjar style, where Indians were allowed to worship. They're always kept separate from the colonials. And then Capilla de la Tercera, I already mentioned, is also known as the Chapel of the Third Order, and the Franciscan Library. There are actually still Franciscan friars living in the cloister of the Convento San Gabriel. The convent was founded in 1528 over the top of a temple celebrating the Aztec god. I'm not going to try to say it, but if you click the link below the YouTube video, it's in writing there. You can see, along with the Google maps walking tour and pictures of these places and explanations. Isn't this a beautiful complex? As you can see, the main church here has been hammered by the earthquake. There are remnants of parts of the steeple on the ground in front of the church, and so you can't go through the front entry, but apparently they're going to let us through a side entry. So this beautiful chapel is built for Real o de Natural, which means of nature, as opposed to of heaven, which is what how the Spanish viewed the indigenous people. So they were allowed to worship here in this building, which is certainly beautiful, but it doesn't say a lot for how evolved the Spanish were at the time. That's where they got to worship, there in the main church. If you were of Spanish ancestry, you were considered a soul of heaven. And please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure there's some historians out there that have a word or two to say about my point, but that's from my reading online. The Capilla Real is of Muslim influence, as you can see all of the domes on top of it. Of course, Spain was occupied by Muslims during the religious wars, and so that influence has lasted. Okay, we're back at the edge of the main plaza, and we're going to head to the pyramid now. Yeah. Stores on the way. I'll walk to the pyramid from the main plaza. They all have the same marking, the blue and the white. It must be a city requirement. Still on the, we're still in the same block. Isn't it pretty? Still haven't even left this block. It's a holiday right now. If you decide to take the train, it's 60 pesos each way, 65 pesos each way, and it'll drop you right here, of course. And the pyramid's behind those trees right there, so it drops you at the pyramid, as opposed to the main square where we got dropped by the bus. Don't worry too much about details, just click the link below this video, and there'll be a walking path there for you. You can just stare at your smartphone. Looks like the entrance to the pyramid if you want to enter from a tunnel. And we just found out where the museum is. So this is allegedly from what I read online, the tallest pyramid in the world, 177 feet. And of course, the Spanish are known for being lazy at the time. And they wanted to both crush the prior government and religious beliefs, and all at the same time and with very little effort. And so they threw a church on top of the pyramid. Normally they would have ruined the pyramid as best they could, but because it was a symbol of the previous religion and government, but I guess they just didn't have the energy here. So for that, I'm thankful. You're going to get to see this thing. Of course, the Spanish got here in the 15th century. Cortez showed up and started murdering in 1519. But this pyramid dates back to 100 AD. It was completed around 800 AD, they figure, from carbon dating, things they found besides rock. Of course, the digs found various things, pottery and whatnot. This is an interesting character. It looks almost like a monkey with an alligator head. A lot of creative expression here. So if you walk direct from the square towards the pyramid, you'll be on this street and you'll come to that all glass building there where you buy your tickets. They're 70 pesos each. Yeah, it's 20 to 1, so whatever that is, you know, $3-4. And then walk just a little further past this building and you'll see this Cholula Zona Archaeologic. That's where the picture, that's where the model of the pyramid is in the pottery I just showed you. You do that and then go through the glass there into a tunnel that takes you into the pyramid. So when you enter through the glass, there's this big long tunnel and
It's nice that I can walk in without...
yeah, it must be 6'6", huh?
Yeah.
This is like a junction here. And I presume these are original, although they've had electricity added. This part of the pyramid would have had been built early, so we're talking about around the birth of Christ. These are stairs down that they've blocked. People have thrown coins down there, I suppose for good luck. So when you exit the pyramid, it's here, the tunnels. And this is the regional museum here, the next stop on the walking tour. We were going to do this after the pyramid, but this is the exit. The entrance is around the corner here. We'll do this and then we'll walk up the pyramid and see what else there is to see. And here's the front to the regional museum. It's not too far, maybe 200 meters. There's indigenous art from the region, as the name implies. That's the Aztec god. Wow. It's amazing. We've entered the Spanish invasion period. This regional museum. Chung's checking out the St. Gabriel complex, or Santa Gabriel, we were at earlier. Super cool. Check out the roof of that, the Indian temple with all those domes. There it is. Very Moorish influence. When you're enjoying the regional museum, don't forget to look up the hill. It's a good shot here of the church that built on top of the pyramid. Finally, some dates on some of these. These are pre-classic period, which I think is before the year before Christ's birth, around 200 BC and before. Something feels a little odd to me. I'm not sure what it is, but something's not right. Okay. Whew. He has a friend. I love this stuff. Big fan. Anytime I see art that makes me laugh or think, you know what? I wouldn't be able to do it this good, but I could do this. I don't know what this is, paper mache. I'd have to read about it, but very cool. Oh my God. I love it. Does anything seem strange to you about this museum at all?
I don't know. I don't know. It's many things to see.
Yeah, a lot of stuff to see.
Yeah, and what?
But nothing strange at all? You don't think?
Don't. It's strange.
So the Regional Museum of Cholula? Cholula. What do you think?
It's a very nice place to come and have a great afternoon, you know.
Yeah? Chunhui like playing with there's a touch screen interface that has all of the convents in Puebla state she was playing with.
Yeah.
They look like fun. Too bad they don't let adults play with it, just children. Huh?
Yeah.
What's that?
We have to go to the pyramid now. We'll show you over there.
Let's see. There's a older pyramid under the young pyramid. And this looks like maybe it's the footing for it. To get an idea of the size of this pyramid, this is the underneath the big one, but part of an earlier pyramid, but the new pyramid sits on top of it and is mostly under that green brush up there. There are parts that they've excavated, we'll show you, and then on top of that, far away, is the very top of the pyramid, which the Spanish Roman Catholic Church built that church up there. But it'll give you an idea of the size. If you've been to Chichen Itza or Egypt, you can see why this pyramid is so big. It's much larger than those pyramids. Reminds me, it looks like it might even be bigger than the sun and the moon pyramids we saw in Peru that were built of adobe pieces, but this is all rock, as you can see. I'm probably 30 feet above this floor. Give you an idea of how big this pyramid is. As you can see, they've excavated much of this area. And this is about birth of Christ. This is a formal burial site. There are remains of offerings were found here. Children that were offered to the gods, apparently. I wonder if we could get away with that nowadays. There's some kids you'd like to offer to the gods. This almost looks like an arena. Here, see these stairs that gently slope up the mountain where you could sit and watch sports in the area I'm standing. Really a striking place. This whole thing is a pyramid. And the flat surface that church rests on is the top of it. In this area they've used what they could find to try try to rebuild the temple so you could see what it looked like. Probably around 800 AD, because it went abandoned for about 300 years before the Aztecs showed up, and then it was a couple hundred more years before the Spanish showed up. So this is what it looked like when it was the main temple, and it was a pilgrimage site. Apparently, people would come here from all over the Americas to see it. It's a funeral, yeah. Family funeral, I think. So on top of the pyramid is Our Lady of Remedies. Before this church was built in 1536, there was a cross put up here which was struck by lightning, and two more following struck by lightning. And then in 1586, they decided to build a church here, which subsequently was burned to the ground a few hundred years later, and then this present version of the church was put up in 1864 over sacred ground. There was a family funeral here today, and hence all the flowers. Brought to you by Coke, apparently. It's a beautiful little chapel up here on top of this pyramid. I would like to have seen what was here before, though. View from up here. Well, that's the spot of the old pyramid they tore down to build the San Gabriel complex. So this is one of the oldest settlements in Mexico, dating back to about 200 BC. You've seen the pyramid, and I'm standing on it now. I'm about halfway up the pyramid, just to give you an idea of elevation. It was quite large. It's under me now, under dirt, a few hundred years of dirt. Really almost 1,000 years of dirt. But the structure is under me. The temple was abandoned in about 1100 AD when the city lost economic importance. The area experienced a renaissance of sorts about 200 years before Cortez showed up in 1519. By that time it had become a religious pilgrimage site, even though it was mostly buried. But the top was still exposed. Upon his arrival, Cortez massacred about 6,000 Cholulans, and perhaps the most important Cholulan holiday of the year. This festival celebrated the week of September, nothing to do with Cortez, but there are traditional dances daily atop the pyramid, Tepanapa. We haven't found that yet. Tepanapa is the flat surface they've built the Catholic Church on. Speaking of, the Santuario de la Virgen de los Remedies, or Shrine of Our Lady of Remedies, is a 16th century Mexican Catholic parish. It's built in 1575 atop the pyramid. The municipality of Cholula, located in the central Mexican state of Puebla. This was one of the largest pyramids in the ancient world, at 177 feet, covering 54 acres. So this is they call it Container City, and it's containers, for like shipping containers, and there's restaurants and coffee shops and bars. There's even a couple people who live here in containers. It's kind of on that minimal tiny home rage, although containers are certainly not necessarily that small, but just got a coat for me. Trying to mess up my hair.